on this edition of the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. Hey, it's the end of the year. You know what that means? It's time for lists, our best of, and everything else. What we've been doing this past year, and maybe what we're looking forward to. Cue the theme. Hey, there we go. Welcome back to the Rock and Metal Faith Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Arin Rockman H, joined by my co-host, Chris Cool. How are you doing,
Cool.
Chris?
How's it going?
Hey, good.
A big time in our journey.
Yes, it is, and we'll get to that maybe a little later, part of our news segment, I think. We'll also start with traditional news. So there's not a lot going on in the news. And one of the things we might be doing from now on is a segment called Michael Sweet Says, because Michael Sweet likes being on Facebook and social medias and talking about a lot of things. And it's fun to talk about what he talks about. This was something he brought up a while back, and it's not official. We're not starting rumors. He was just kicking out ideas. So
no rumors here, people. No rumors. We deal with facts.
Well, we could start some rumors, but anyways.
Yeah, we could. I mean, yeah,
I'm just letting you know that it was just an idea. This is not official. But Michael Sweet was kicking around the idea of tours and the people he could tour with, and thinking, how is this for an idea? Stryper and King Diamond.
And who? Sorry?
King Diamond. Do you know who he is?
Oh. Wow. Might have to move that over for a while.
Well, if you know anything about King Diamond, he's very kind of satanic in his lyrics, imagery, and stuff like this. It actually reminds me back in the early 80s when Stryper and another band were first starting out, toured together. It was Stryper and Wasp went on tour. They call it the Heaven and Hell Tour.
I saw that.
And stuff like this. And this is back before Black Lost became a Christian, and they were doing their full theatrical show with blood and throwing raw meat in the audience and stuff like this, Anyways, also talking about possible tours and dates. Again, nothing official, but hey, here's some cool things to kick around and maybe talk to promoters. Dale Thompson of Bride is looking to book dates in the States. He's back in the States now, and they're looking at trying to get some dates going. They're kicking around possible shows they could join up with other artists for, type of thing. He's mentioned maybe a tour with Bride and Stryper. I'm thinking, maybe Bride, Stryper, Whitecross. That'd be kind of a pretty cool show.
My gosh, that would, if I was a promoter, that would be perfect. That would, wow. But it would be a lot of coin, though. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing, or the old and the new touring together. Recently, too, he's kicked around the idea of Bride and Disciple and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would rock. Okay, I'd pay anything to see that. That would be cool. We'll have to do an episode on Disciple.
And I was thinking about that last year because we talk a lot about the older bands, and we'll continue to do so. I know we got more of the history segments to talk about in the upcoming year. come into the 80s. Now, we talked about, the history of Christian rock from the 70s into the early 80s. Now we're going to be talking about the mid 80s. Well, most of this podcast is about the mid 80s.
And I guess I hate to say it, and a lot of them are now retired, right? And some of them have passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, Stryper came out in the mid
Yeah,
80s.
right,
They're still going
Michael.
strong. Whitecross is back on the scene.
Yep.
X-Sinner was supposed to have a new record out. It got delayed in production. So they're kind of back on the scene. And Saint is still out there. Actually, too, and I just listened to a podcast. And this was an old interview taken before the summer, before Saint's new album came out and all this. But they were talking about the band and about Immortal Fest, playing at Immortal Fest, about the new record. But yeah, they've been around quite a while. They've been around for, just as long as Stryper has, about 40 years or so. And, people still love the classic Saint. They said most of their set will be off of Time's End or Too Late for Living, because that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
And there was something else about Saint, too, I was going to mention.
It's kind of scaring me, all these people shooting around. I remember 40 years ago, and I'm like, buddy, don't say that.
Don't say what?
What would, people are saying, I remember 40, 50 years ago. Be like, buddy, I was.
Yes, us, I know. All right, one thing I want to get to, and we did this back in the early days, trying to get a little bit of promotion from up and coming artists, newer artists, independent. Also trying to hopefully get a little bit of promotion, vice versa, promoting ourselves. We used to do shout outs. And I bring it up because there was I'm going to do a shout out here to an artist. He got in touch with us. He listened to our podcast. He says, would you consider playing some of my music on the show? He's got files on, I believe it was SoundCloud. He sent me the link to. His name is Daniel Joseph Chiasson. A lot of his stuff is, I would say, mellow. It falls under more like singer, songwriter, folk style, soft rock. There is a couple of alternative rock songs in his file, or whatever that's called. I'm gonna play just a clip of one of his songs here. This is called "Savior Calling," I believe. Anyways, so here's a clip.
Strangers in the wilderness, lost without a guide. Find a way in your tenderness, no need to hide. Beneath the cross I'm standing, humble but free. Grace sublime demanding, forever with me. Lord Jesus, hear me calling, love breaking through. Chains of sin they're falling, I'm running to you.
So that was "Savior Calling" from Joseph. Oh, sorry.
From which album?
I'd have to call it up again. He's gone.
Okay, yeah.
His songs are on, I believe, SoundCloud. So look for the name under SoundCloud. I'll write his name in the episode notes and all that.
Check them out, guys.
Yes. And I guess we'll get into, or plug it in. Time to plug it in and turn it up. I wanted to use a Christmas song for Plug It In. So before I actually play the Plug It In episode, I was thinking about my favorite Christmas songs that I always listen to come Christmas time and stuff like that. Have you ever heard the song called Christmas Time from One Bad Pig?
Why does that ring a bell in my brain?
I can't remember what album
I
it
wonder
was
if I've
off.
heard it all my years in youth group.
Probably. I can't remember what
Yeah.
album it was off of now.
I was getting ready to hang up on you if you were going to play Mariah Carey.
Oh, no, I'm not playing that one.
You go, I have a friend that he works Best Buy. He's like, they're playing it again. I'm like, no. But I mean, she could sing, but but
You just had to
yeah,
bring
there's
them up.
not very many Christian bands out there besides Stryper. I mean, over the years, I've seen them put out their White Christmas song.
The Winter
or
Wonderland.
album.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. That will be our Plug It In segment, or Plug It In song, Winter Wonderland by Stryper. Before we get to that, though, Deliverance did one too. They did a version of Silent Night.
Oh my God.
Have you heard that one?
No. Are you playing it?
No.
Too heavy, right? Oh.
And well, actually, their version's nice. It starts off real nice, soft acoustic guitars. They sing the first chorus and then they just kick it in. Yeah, it goes Silent Night, Silent Come.
It's not your Christmas song for your grandma.
Yeah.
No.
Actually, that reminds me of another one I like. They're not really a Christian band per se, although they did do a couple traditional religious Christmas songs on their record. Twisted Sister did a whole Christmas album. And
Twisted Sister?
yeah, this was a few years back. Kind
The
of
guys
like,
who did We're Not Gonna Take It.
yes. Actually, and then maybe I'll upload that onto the Facebook page because they did, what did they do? They did, Oh Come All Ye Faithful. And the music is very similar to We're Not Gonna Take It and stuff. He's got the drum beat going for We're Not Gonna Take It, and behind the drum, on top of the drum beat, they start singing Oh Come All Ye Faithful, la da 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 da, and then the guitar dun da da dun da da dun da da dun. It's it's actually really
That's
good.
funny.
It's actually really good.
I'll have to find that.
Yeah, I might not upload that on the Facebook page. And another band, they're not known as a Christian band, although I do believe they are Christians within the band. Extreme has one out called Christmas Time Again. And it's a really nice song. If you haven't heard it, it appeared on one of the very special Christmas albums, which were put together by various artists and then put out and supposed to raise money for special needs, Special Olympics, one of the charities anyways. I've got a couple of them over the years depending on who was on the record, and this is probably my favorite of the whole collection of anything that was on there. And even Bon Jovi's got a few songs on those couple of records and stuff like this. It's a beautiful song. But anyways, yeah, the number one song that I listen to every year at Christmas, it's not Christmas until I hear, and I've already heard it at least once this year because I played it. Stryper's Winter Wonderland.
Alright guys, we're gonna do some Christmas singing. Tim and Oz, why don't you guys help me out?
Aw, man, I gotta go.
You're sick again? Bob, come on man, you're my brother, don't leave me hanging.
I don't know, man. I better stick to the drums.
Alright, shine you guys, man, I'll do it myself. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. This isn't gonna work, guys, come on! A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Oh yes, that's the way I like it. Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. Beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Guys, that wasn't so bad.
Hey, man, I don't know, man.
Hey, it sounded pretty good to me.
I still
Come
got
on, man.
I still got a cold.
I think for me, I always seem to hear the Rudolph song by Bryan Adams.
Oh, okay. Run, Rudolph, run.
Yeah, I forget how it goes now.
Yeah,
But every year,
yeah, that's another one too.
yeah, that my mom plays. She's like, "You used to like this song as a kid. It rocks. It's not bad."
Oh yeah.
Bryan Adams. For those who don't know, Bryan Adams is a Canadian rock singer. You can Google him. I think he still does some stuff today.
Yeah, I think so. You know, before we get into top albums or top my top albums, top songs of the year. Were there any songs of the year that kind of stood out for you?
Yeah. Speaking of Apple, I should have looked at Apple. They would probably did all this work for me. I should have looked. But I already know what I listen to.
Okay.
I mean,
Top song?
I said the top songs would have been Disciples New, When You Want to Be Someone, Revelation Single, sorry, but they're awesome.
No, nothing wrong with that. That's good.
The one and only Whitecross with their Fear No Evil.
Okay.
Wow. What are yours?
Well, my top songs are. I tried to do stuff actually a little bit different than my top album. I came up with my top albums of the year, and then I thought we should do top songs as well. And I picked 5 songs that actually don't appear on my top albums. So these are songs that maybe I didn't like the album, but I liked 1 or 2 songs from the album. And coming in at number 5 was the title track. No, not the title track. But coming in at number 5 was the first single released from The Brave this year with a song called Knock Knock. Now, they had released a new album out this year called Carnival of Sins. There were a few songs on that one that I thought was good. Overall, I thought it was okay, just not great type of thing. Yeah, so that's where the record sat with me. But I thought, it was worthy of a mention. So I'll pick a song from that to put on my top song list. Number 4 is a song. Now, here's where we start talking about country a little bit. Well,
amazing. Breaking news right here.
Yeah. And let me clarify that first. Okay, so there was a Southern rock artist who aren't known for Christian music, but they're Christians. Okay, the band Van Zant, which are the brothers Van Zant from 38 Special and from Lynyrd Skynyrd, put out a album this year, and it's a very Christian album. All the songs are very Christian oriented and stuff like this. Actually, it's been getting a lot of good reviews on Facebook type of thing. Like in the Christian rock and metal, there are a lot of people are telling how good this record is. I've listened to it. I'll probably will get it. I haven't got it yet. I might put it on my Christmas list. But it doesn't really sound southern rock to me. It sounds more country-ish to me type of thing. So that's where that sits. But the first song I heard from that was a song called Jesus Christ. Very good song. It's more like today's country overall, like for the whole record type of thing. So that's why I said we'll talk a little bit about country. It's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. But
I bet your wife was happy to hear that.
I don't think she's heard it yet. I did bring it up though. I said,
okay. I thought she would have heard it.
No, well, it doesn't get played on radio. You have to go look for it if you want to hear it. But I did bring it up saying, I bet you she would like it. That was number 4. Number 3 is a band I just discovered. Talking about bands I discovered because of the podcast. Although this is a band I might have discovered even without doing the podcast, but they're a fairly new band. They've only got, I think, 2 records out. They're a power metal band. As far as I know, they're from the States. A band called Majestica. And they've got a new record, not even out yet. I discovered this band kind of through Instagram. On Instagram, a lot of times they have suggested videos and stuff that you might like. And I'm not sure which profile it was. It might have been the Rock and Metal Faith profile on Instagram that this came across. So I started listening to some of this stuff, going, okay, not bad. Then they said they have a new song out. This new song is called Power Train.
Power Train.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I might actually find the video for this and put it up on our page, Facebook page. Good song. Lots of shredding, speed metal playing, but not over the top, too much over the top type thing. Great vocals where you can understand the vocals. Some good harmonies in the vocals. Overall, pretty good. I might buy the whole record when it comes. The record itself hasn't even come out yet, but they did release the first song from the record and said this is kind of showcasing the record. If you like this song shows what the record's going to be like, type of thing. That's my number 3. Now, number 2, back to your favorite band, Revelation Signal. And I picked the song Decide by Revelation Signal.
Oh, yeah, that's a good song. Yeah. Wow. We have to have them back.
We'll let you run that interview.
That's all I care about. I just think they're awesome. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just the drums, the writing is incredible. Tony, come back.
I'm sure he'd come back anytime we invite him. We may invite him
Yeah,
back.
I know. I'm just having fun. Yeah.
And my number 1 song didn't appear on a record. Appeared as a single. A power metal band from Slovakia. A band called Signum Regis. I'll send them. I'll play this on a Facebook feed.
Yeah. Send me the list. Yeah, your list. Thank you.
They had a song came out this year called No Middle Ground. And last year they came out with a record. I have to look up the name of the record now. Yeah, I can't remember the name of the record now. But they had a record out and last year, so it wouldn't make this year's list. And it was really good. I ended up buying it. First introduction to the band, Signum Regis. Bought it just checking out the band. Everybody else who had the record said this is really good. A power metal band. There's some speed playing in there. There's some very fast, heavy riffing in the thing. Then this past year they released just a single song, No Middle Ground. They said it was recorded at the same time the last record was, but they didn't think it had the same feel as the record did. They left it off. Released it as a single.
Awesome.
So on to the best of the records now. And I originally came up with 7. I thought 7 is a perfect number. It's a holy number, perfect. But then I ended up throwing one more in there, so I made it 8.
Okay.
And this one, when I came up with the records and started ordering them as far as 1 to 8, I guess, it ends up being, first of all, did I buy the record? How much did I listen to it once I bought it? A couple records I didn't buy, but I bought the download, or maybe I bought half the record through a download. Instead of buying the whole record, I bought half the songs, something like this. This number 8 song, I didn't buy anything from, but every time I hear it, stuff off the record, I do like it. I'm not sure what reason, it just didn't put me over the edge to say I want to go out and buy this, but I like it every time I hear it. And that's the new one from Scott Stapp, Higher Power. The vocalist from Creed.
Oh yeah, okay, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Again, the start of last year, or started this year, he released a record, and yeah, and so that's my number 8. Number 7, again, it's not hard rock, it's not metal. It's a little bit out of our wheelhouse, but this thing does rock. It's just not your typical rock, put it that way. From Crowder, released the album Exile. And he's got a song on there. I'll tell you, from here on now, I'll tell you my favorite song off the record. Not just the record, but my number 1 song from that record. And I didn't cue this up to play, but he's got a song off the new one called Grave Robber. Have you heard that one?
No, no.
You gotta check that out. For those who like Crowder, this is a good song. It's upbeat.
Oh.
It's upbeat. It's fast. It's typical, I guess, typical Crowder, you know. And he's an artist that I just started kind of finding out who he was in probably the last year myself, type of thing.
That's awesome.
And so number 6, I had to put this on there because I bought the download. I was debating whether or not I should put this on there. I haven't listened to it a whole lot. Here's a band who released 2 records this year. I said, well, they've got to have one on the list. So coming in at number 6 is Stryper's acoustic record, To Hell with the Amps. And my favorite song off that, I think, would be Loud and Clear, which...
Yes, that's a good song. Yes.
It's a great song, and you got to hear the acoustic version of it. It's amazing that they could play this song on the acoustic, first of all. And because it's acoustic, the vocals come out much clearer. Whenever I used to listen to the electric version of it, I had a hard time figuring out what they were singing during the chorus, and it comes out nice and clear. It comes out loud and clear on the acoustic version.
Wow.
Number 5, I bought half this record. Same with Crowder. I didn't buy the entire Crowder record, but I did buy half of that as downloads. This one I bought half of as downloads because I listened to bought the singles that came out, listened to clips of the other songs and says, well, these songs are kind of good. They're very political, but it's been a good record. And number 5 is Human Code, Break the Silence.
Human Code. Yeah. Definitely. Those guys are awesome.
Number 4 is a band I just discovered. Didn't really discover because of the podcast. Discovered through Facebook pages. Someone said, oh, here's a great band, great record. Man, these guys are good. They got some great hair metal, 80s metal style riffs. And the band is called A Rising Force. The record this year was called, I think I actually sent you some of the videos or downloads for this band.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
The band, or the album this year was called Truth. They've only got 2 or 3 records out in total. And if you want to know what they sound like, off of that record, here's a clip from a song called Thrill of a Lifetime. So there you go. A Thrill of a Lifetime by A Rising Force. Off the record, Truth. Number 3 a band that I've really been getting into this year, trying to get into more and more. Came out with a new record this year. Probably their best one yet. I know a band that's been around 40 years, come out with a brand new record. Their best. No, it's not Stryper. And number three is Saint with their album Immortalizer. This thing just rocks, and they've come out with some good stuff before, but again, I think this is just that much better. The production on this is great, you know.
Very cool.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah, the title track from the new one, Immortalizer. I can't say enough about this. The top 3 albums.
Yeah.
Now, number 2.
Look like picks I would pick, so that's good.
Now, number 2. What did I say last time when we were talking about certain bands? I said the question. If you ask a question, the answer is always a band. Certain band. And when I started thinking about making my list, I said, well, this band has got to be number 1. And I kept flip-flopping back. Should this band be number 1? Should another band be number 1? And I love this album. Again, another band that's been out 40 years. I'm putting out a new album again. This record, it's great. Is it their best? I don't know. Some fans think it's not their best. Some fans think it is their best. Number 2, Stryper with End of Days. There you go. Number 2.
Wow.
Is it their best? I don't know.
Michael could sure sing though. Oh my gosh.
Oh yes.
I only wish I could hit those notes, okay?
Now, number 1, and you haven't said any records yet. I saved number 1 for you because you and I both agree what number 1 record is. So, number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have to go check out Whitecross. And I
Fear
forget the
No
name of the
Evil.
album. Fear No Evil. I knew it.
And off that record. Or go ahead.
Yeah, I like all of their songs on that album. It just rocks. I mean, their new vocalist there. Oh, I have his name on the tip of my tongue. He's awesome. He can really sing.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was picking, favorite songs off the records and stuff like this. Going, favorite one off this. It's hard to pick a favorite off this, but let's go with this one, Lion of Judah.
The spirit cannot be contained. The Lion of Judah comes in his power. He's bringing salvation. Let this be the hour.
All right, so yeah, Lion of Judah, number 1. We both agree. Whitecross, Fear No Evil. And here's the thing.
Go check out.
Here's the thing too. Again, number 1, Whitecross. Number 2, Stryper. They could have easily been reversed. Stryper could have been number one. Whitecross could have been number two from my list. And it came down to, I'm thinking, Stryper, I always say Stryper. It's got to be number one. And I'm listening to Whitecross going, I think these songs are just a little bit better than what Stryper did this year.
Sure.
So that's where it stands for me. And that's how that came out.
I think one band we didn't talk about was Axum, but I forget the name of their single. They're on one of my lists.
Okay, I might have to check them out. I don't know Axum.
Yeah, they're really cool. So
this is essentially our 1 year anniversary. The first episode was released December 20th last year.
Please tell me you're not going to play a clip.
No, I don't even know how I can do it anymore. And I want to talk about that before we get into. We're going to talk about where we started, where we are now, and where we're going, type of thing. This is episode 24, and some of you might be looking at this, going, "Well, didn't the last one get number 24?" It did. I kind of misnumbered the episodes somewhere along the way.
You forgot how to count?
Well, what happened was I was going by the automatic counter. It said before I published the episode last time, it said there was 23 episodes. Well, what it didn't take into account was there was a double episode, and we'll get into why there is. And I think it's also counting our little trailer. When I go into, now this is done on Spotify for creators, which used to be known as Spotify for podcasters. So yeah, let's get into history. Last summer, I think I got listening to a couple of podcasts, and I got the idea that, I think I could do this. I could do a podcast, but I didn't want to do it by myself. And I was wondering, who to do it with. And then I got the idea that, hey, maybe you and I could do one together. We both like music and all that.
I'm so touched that she thought of me.
And then I started thinking, what would it be about? Because I listen to secular music as much as I listen to Christian music, and I know just as much about that as a lot of people do. And that's the point, is there are probably thousands of podcasts out there already talking about these rock and secular music. I'm going, there aren't really any out there talking about Christian music.
Talking about Christian music,
There's one or two out there. And we actually had a guest that kind of brought that up, saying, there aren't too many or anyone else talking about Christian rock type of thing. So I said, well, here's a niche that hasn't been filled yet that we can talk about and we know something about. So we started. So I said, hey, let's do a podcast on this.
Are we the only ones in Canada doing this, or no?
I think so. Like, we had the Christian Geeks on for an episode. And as far as I know, them and us are the only ones doing this. There are a couple out there that kind of talk about records and give a quick review of what's coming out. There is one out there that I was listening to for a while, doing interviews. There's a couple that do nothing but interviews and guests. One is called Imaginary Music with Joel. I can't remember his last name now. But that's all he does, is he just has people on his and talks about them. Another one does the same thing, but they're very small time, and they talk to a lot of smaller bands and stuff like that. So, there may be 4 or 5 of us out there, and as far as I know, that's about it. And, okay, so we talked about that. Now, let's see if you remember this. We started our podcast, like I said. First one aired December 20th last year, 2023.
It was really that late?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we recorded maybe early December and took a little while to edit and publish. I'm talking about the publishing date now. I don't remember when it was recorded. But here's a little bit of trivia. Put on your thinking cap, Chris. Oh, yeah, see you.
Sorry, say that again?
Put on your thinking cap.
Okay, I'm wearing my cap, so I'm ready.
Do you remember what our first name was called? Because we weren't Rock and Metal Faith.
What we talked about?
No. Our original name of the podcast. We started out under a different name.
We had an original name? I didn't know that.
The first name we had for this podcast was Metal Faith.
Right, that's right.
And as we went along, a few episodes in, I thought, well, we're not just metal. We need a name that's a little more descriptive of who we are. So then
especially that we talked about country later on.
We talked about country?
Yeah.
When did we talk about country?
We did. I think that was in episode 4 or something that we just mentioned it. It wasn't a full episode.
Oh, okay.
I had a friend at church ask me, he's like, are you guys going to do an episode on Christian country? I'm like, let me bring that to my buddy. I don't think that discussion will be very long.
Well, if we do, you're going to have to run that whole episode. I know nothing.
Thanks. You're going to sit there and be quiet? Is that what you're saying?
No, but you got to plan the whole episode because I don't know anything. Although, when we talk about our year-end list, or I guess my year-end list, there is a couple on there that kind of get into country-ish type of thing.
The way you said that.
Well,
you're like reluctant.
I'll tell you what. It's because I don't want that. It's because we'll get into that later as we get into our list type of thing. Okay. Where do we go? Okay, there we go. So what I was saying, I wanted to talk about how this thing started. We got the podcast going. We were first recording under Spotify for podcasters, and I was recording on my phone. I was using their editing program, which is very hard and cumbersome. It was easy to record. It was very hard to edit on there and stuff. And basically what happened was, too, is I listen to Spotify quite a bit. I'm always checking out bands, and I'm listening to them through Spotify and stuff like that, finding out if they're good enough for me to buy their stuff. I buy a lot of stuff, too. But I use Spotify lots for discovering bands. And on their free account, you have to listen to their ads all the time. And I think, not this past summer, but the previous summer, they were promoting their podcasting service. Saying, if you've thought about doing a podcast, check out our platform, Spotify for podcasters. So that's where we got started, why we got started. And it wasn't long while we were using Spotify for podcasters that they said they're going to stop doing the editing. That whole making the podcast through Spotify was going to end. And they recommended Riverside as a recording platform type of thing. And I checked out other ones, trying to decide, well, I'm not sure if I want to go with Riverside. They actually seem to be pretty good. We've been using them just because after I checked out the other ones, Riverside seemed to be the best option for us type of thing. So we started recording on Riverside. We've been publishing our episodes on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and a bunch of others.
Wait. Go back.
Yeah.
You just said iHeartRadio?
Yeah.
When did you start doing that?
Basically right away. It's really easy. It's almost like once you've got your host site. Our host site is Spotify. So I take our published or our edited episode, I upload it to Spotify. Then Spotify once I started the podcast, Spotify creates an RSS feed. It's a lot like the HTTPS for a website type of thing.
Right, that's a website code.
Yeah. Now the RSS code is the same thing, but for podcasts. I can send that link to any other service like Apple, like Google, and anyone else that runs a podcast. Tell them what that RSS feed is, and every time there's a new episode, it automatically finds it and puts it on there, type of thing. That's what I did, was trying to get our name out there. Started putting our feed on all these other places, type of thing, including Google.
Are we still on YouTube?
Yes, and I'm getting to that part because we were on Google for a couple months when Google said they're cutting out their podcasting. They're not running podcasts anymore. But for those who want their podcast through Google, they suggested uploading it to YouTube. So I started a YouTube channel and started uploading our podcast to YouTube. But at that time, I didn't know much about YouTube and uploading to YouTube. All it was really my channel under my name. And it was a still picture, basically our thumbnail that you would see at the start of the episode, and then the audio. And there wasn't any video to it yet. Until one of our guests said, "Hey, we did an interview, and I'm trying to find it on YouTube. I found it, but where's the video portion of it?" So I says, "Oh, I can remedy that. I can take the video and upload it." And that was actually Revelation Signal that brought that up. That we weren't.
That's right. That's what I thought, Tony.
Yeah,
I
yes.
think for me, that was probably the best interview so far I think we've done with an artist.
I think so.
I like that interview. Yeah.
You came up with some really good questions on that one.
Yeah, you did too.
So yeah, that's what I was saying. Your first episodes were just stills with audio, and then we started uploading video.
Was that interview on, like, for you?
Yes.
Okay.
That one was sort of our first YouTube. No, that technically wasn't the first video because the first interview we had done. Remember the first interview we done?
The first interview?
Yes.
I always get their names wrong. The band out of Chicago.
Oh, before that?
We did it before. Who did we do before?
I think it was before that.
Sweet Crystal.
Well, we did Sweet Crystal, but was Whitecross before or after that now?
Oh, Whitecross was after that.
Oh, okay. And I took the video from Whitecross interview. We did Rex Carroll and we did Dave Roberts together.
Yeah.
Then I uploaded that, and that was just a video. It was our episode, but wasn't labeled as an episode when I uploaded it to you. First time I uploaded it to YouTube, type of thing. And then, yeah, then we did the interview with Sweet Crystal. Actually, I should upload that video because that video still never got uploaded. It just came out as the still and the audio type of thing. Like I said, it wasn't until Revelation Signal that we got the idea, basically from Tony, that hey, maybe we should be uploading.
Yeah, that was good. We don't have. Well, maybe as we go, we'll have more stuff to use, but maybe next year we'll be able to put a collection of clips of the best interviews of the year. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I might do that if I have time.
Yeah, that'll take an hour or two.
Part of doing this is I'm always learning about podcasting. I was learning about YouTube, and we now have a dedicated rock and metal faith channel on YouTube. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you've already probably found the channel. Apparently, the channel has this whole web page thing. You got to create a banner for this. You got to do this. You got to do that. I didn't know a lot about that. Actually, one of my kids knew all about that and showed me how to do that. And you got to create pictures and banners to put up on your YouTube channel and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Actually, which brings up too, because a lot of the stuff that we had done as far as pictures, thumbnails, stills, kind of was with help from one of my kids. She says, she came on, and I said, well, how do I do this? And so she just started doing stuff, and I did put in like I saw that if you look at our stills or in our thumbnails, we got that little guy with a guitar or whatever. I said, that's good. We got to use that. But then we needed a cross, so then we put this big cross behind him, and that kind of became it. But I started thinking about that picture recently, going, well, that's kind of cool, but it could be better. And the color scheme wasn't my idea. The color scheme was my kid's idea, was Jane's idea. So while I thought that was all cool, I started revamping that. So in the new year, we're going to have a new picture. We're going to have a new thumbnail. I'm going to unveil it after this episode comes out, type of thing. So look forward to that. This might be a good time to let everybody know that, hey, we love feedback. Send us your comments, what you think about this episode.
Yes, let us know what you guys think about the year in review. Who would you like us to talk to, interview, or what would you like us to talk about in 2025?
There you go. Or bands that we haven't talked about yet that you want us to.
Yes.
We'll have to talk with, the new bands as well as the old bands.
Yeah, for sure. We try to keep current.
Yeah. There was something else talking about that. But anyways, remember the very first guest we had? It wasn't an interview. It wasn't part of a band.
Terry Grant.
Yes.
Yes, I got one right. All right. Yeah, that was good. That brought me back to these, yeah, the early days of Roxanne, which was a Christian radio show from like midnight to like 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, that was fun.
That was a fun day. Those were the fun days.
Yeah, so we had Terry on. Basically I invited him on for a couple episodes to help us out with some information maybe you didn't know. I know you didn't know too much about the first couple Stryper records.
He really knows his stuff. We'll have to try to have him back in 2025.
Yeah, we should see. You know what? The next record to do for Stryper is Against the Law.
Oh,
who else do we have on this? So then we had interviews. We had Sweet Crystal. We had Whitecross. You're right. I've even got all the interviews and guests listed in the order. So you're right. Sweet Crystal was first, then Whitecross, then Revelation Signal.
I thought Revelation Signal was before Whitecross.
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No, I remember actually Whitecross happened during the hockey playoffs last year.
Right, that's right.
Remember I got, and they came to us. It was the manager.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Or something like
awesome.
that. Came to us.
Shout out to the people who sent them our way. Thank you.
And and then we had the big interview that we just did last episode, I guess it was, or in a couple episodes.
With Ken Tamplin.
Yeah, and you know what? We were talking about the Christian geeks who joined us for an episode. I was just listening to their latest episode because they like to do album spotlights or album previews or album reviews, and they were talking about the first Shout record. It won't be long.
Yes.
Right. So of course, then they were talking about the whole Ken Tamplin
debacle. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think they had a good point. Because in the end, they said, "What does it really matter?"
Exactly. That's exactly it. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Like.
Anyways,
I mean, the guy can is still older, he can still rock.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like he knows what he's doing. And a shout out to Ken. Thank you, Ken, for coming on.
Right,
If
right.
you're bored, Ken, you're more than welcome to come back here.
We should maybe do that. Get him to talk about one of the records.
Yeah, we'll talk about it won't be long or what we touched on in a little bit in our interview.
Anyways, oh, with the year-end things, do you listen to Spotify yourself?
No,
The reason I bring it up is for those who listen to Spotify, every year at the end of the year, Spotify likes doing the wraps, talking about what you were listening to throughout the year. Now, I got my Spotify wrap, and it's a little bit skewed because it's not a true reflection of what I've been listening to throughout the year because I buy a lot of stuff. I listen to stuff I've purchased, probably more than listening to Spotify, or just as much. And I don't always listen. Although it's funny because I thought I would try and get Stryper onto my Spotify. So even though I own everything by Stryper, or most of the stuff by Stryper, I started listening to Stryper on Spotify just so it would register that I listened to Stryper. And then Stryper came out with a new record, and I made a playlist throughout the year, right from January. I made a playlist of new albums that were coming out within our genre type of thing. And so when Stryper came out with a record, it went into that playlist, and I would listen to it a little bit here and there, type. So I'd recognize I was listening to Stryper type of thing. Okay, my Spotify Wrapped came up with this. This is where it got skewed because the number one artist that I listen to isn't even one of my favorite artists.
Stryper.
No, that Stryper is my favorite and should have been number one.
Oh, your other okay.
On here. Let's go with okay. Top five artists. Coming in at number 5 was Sweet Crystal. Since we discovered Sweet Crystal and they reached out to us saying they wanted to be on the podcast, I started listening to them. But I continued to listen to them after the podcast because I like their stuff. So they ended up being number 5 for the year on Spotify on my list. Second is a band that I've been, or number 4 is a band that I've been trying to get into more and more. I've bought a couple records. When I have money, I try and buy a little bit more. I've got like a big list of records records and CDs I've been trying to get. Until I can acquire more on my own, I listen to Spotify. And number 4 is the band Saint. And so they came in at 4. Number 3 on my Spotify Wrapped was Skillet. And I was listening to them, trying to get into them. There was a couple of times I was trying to find out, what, if there was anything I liked by them. There are a few songs. Now, personally, I don't think I would throw more on, but I've got a big list of bands I'm trying to get into more. And I just systematically go through that list. Once I get to the end, I go back to the top of the list and go through it again. And it's got secular, it's got Christian artists on there. And I think part of it was I was trying to listen to Skillet to get into them, trying to like them. And musically, I do like Skillet. The problem is I don't think I like John Cooper's vocals. For those who like it, great. For me personally, just the way he sings isn't really my thing. That's where it sits for me.
Their live show is pretty cool. If you watch their videos, wow. They know how to.
And they came to Edmonton. I actually wanted to go, but they came at a time when I didn't have a lot of money. I think we just gone to a show somewhere else, and they were playing at a club here. So I didn't know how much of their pyro show they were going to be able to bring into the club type of thing. It would have been different if they were playing like Rogers, but they weren't playing Rogers. They were playing Midway, if you know where Midway is and what Midway is.
Oh yeah, the old bar.
Yeah. So that would have been different than if they were playing Rogers. If they're playing Rogers, I might have made more of an effort just so I could go see their show. As it was, I didn't get a chance. If they come around again, it depends on my situation. Will I go see them? Maybe.
I've seen them once, twice. I think when YC was running here in the city, they booked them once. I think I did security for it, and wow! I mean, the kids went wild, obviously, but they're pretty cool. I have a couple of their songs on my list. Invincible.
Okay, yeah. Monster? I think Monster's a good one. And they just came out with a new record, actually, and there's some stuff on there that's actually not bad. I haven't listened to it a lot, but again, I think I like it. And if you're into what Skillet's been putting out recently, then it's not bad. And they've kind of changed the style over the years. I remember when Skillet put out their first record. I listened to that and was not into that at all. They sound a lot different than their first record nowadays, though.
Yeah, I remember those old days. Yeah. Yeah, that was the days where you would put a cassette in the cassette player and rewind, stop, rewind, play, fast forward, stop. Darn it!
So number 3 is the number. No, that was number 3. Number 2 on my list of Spotify Wrapped is the band I was trying to make on my Spotify Wrapped, Stryper. So they managed to get on there. It also helped that they came out with a couple of records this past year too, and so I was listening to them. And I bought their acoustic record, To Hell with the Amps, but I think I listened to the songs off of that one through Spotify more than I listened to the actual album that I bought.
Awesome.
But my number 1 artist, and I think I know how they ended up being number 1, because I didn't know very much about them. And we did an episode about them, or we're going to do an episode about them. Ended up being the last few minutes of the episode. But a couple times I thought we need to talk about this duo in Christian rock history. And so I would do some research, listen to a bunch of their stuff, going, okay, here's some songs I think from this duo that I think I like. And then something came up. Ken Tamplin came up, or another episode came up. I'm like, okay, let's put that off. So once or twice, I listened to this duo for a long time, like for an entire week, just to try and create a list of songs of theirs I like. Before I thought of doing an episode, I didn't listen to these guys at all. But because I listened to them for a week or two at a time, they ended up being my number 1 artist on Spotify. That's the Garmo Key.
Wow.
And it came about, like I said, through the research for what we talked about on the Garmo Key. And I kept listening to them, trying to figure out which songs of theirs I wanted to put on my list. So then they ended up being number 1.
That was a good episode too that we did of Grandma and Key.
The top song of the year that I listened to was actually a song. No, number 5 was a song from the record that came out at the start of the year, last January or February. It's a song called What I Deserve from Scott Stapp, who is the former singer from Creed. He put out a new record early last year. And when I listen to Spotify, everything's on shuffle mode all the time. So I don't pick and choose what songs, but again, it was in a playlist of new records. It was the first album in that playlist, so it probably came out more often. Number 4, 5, and 6 all came off the same record.
Wow.
All came off of Stryper's End of Days record.
End of Days. Yeah, that's a good record. Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 was Grateful, Love's Symphony, and then title track End of Days.
End of Days.
And the number 1 song was a Sweet Crystal song, When He Returns.
Wow.
A lot of this, I think, are just because I was listening to things on repeat. That ends up being what came up the most, or something like that type of thing.
I think mine would have been. I really like the Revelation single, the couple songs they sent me. I really listened to them because of the background drums there that we discussed with Tony there in the interview.
Right. And
They were awesome.
here's the thing, actually, is they didn't probably factor into my Spotify because I bought their stuff, and so anytime I listened to them, it was through what I bought. And Revelation Signal has a brand new one out now.
Did they come out with their new one yet?
Yes, they did. About a month ago, I
What?
think it was. Let me call it. I actually went and bought it. When I heard it was out, what's it called? Lift Your Head. And if you remember when we were talking to him, we asked him, what song was his favorite. He said that was his favorite because it had a solo in it. And so this is the song. This is the song that has the solo.
Okay, I'll have to look for it when we finish this. Add it.
Yeah, and he's got an EP out with all the songs under one EP title. Unfortunately, when I bought the stuff, there was no EP. I bought them all as singles, so I had to keep buying them.
Oh, is it part of the same album that they sent us, or separate?
Well, yes and no. It's part of the EP, and he sent us like 3 or 4 songs because that one wasn't released yet, type of thing.
Right, that's right. Okay.
Anyways, actually, maybe I should edit this around a little bit, or maybe I'll just leave it as it was. Back to how we did as a podcast now.
Yes, my dad always asks me, what are your guys' stats? I want to see them.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to talk about next, is how we're doing. And it got a little weird because I'm not sure how they factor this in. No, I'm not sure how they factor this in, because I got a wrapped segment for the podcast itself as well, as far as who's been listening to what, how well it's been doing and stuff like this. And I think it's because they factor in who listens to an episode. They don't have to listen to the whole episode to say that it was streamed or listened to. Or maybe people listen to an episode without downloading it. Maybe
That's right.
because it says our
Maybe
top
they listen
episode,
to it for 10 minutes.
maybe something like that.
Or
It
they
says,
listen to it for 10 minutes and say, it's not for me, or...
yeah, because our top episode, according to Spotify Wrapped, was Bride, Snakes in the Playground.
Really?
Yeah, it didn't tell me how many times that was streamed or listened to, although it said it was 116% more than the average episode.
Well, that's disappointing. I thought Revelation Signal would be a good interview.
But,
Oh,
well, you got to remember, too, what are people looking for? What are people searching? Now, according
That's
to,
right.
I think, downloads, and it broke it up a little bit. I looked at episode rankings as far as downloads through Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. Now, Spotify, we have 29 subscribers. Whether they listen or not, 29 people are getting downloads. That's, I think, how it works. The number 1 episode as far as downloads through Spotify was our Immortal Fest Part 2 with 43. Number 2 was our segment about Easter songs.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And number 3 was the Rex Carroll interview. The Rex Carroll David Roberts interview. On YouTube, now this is where things get, again, a little skewed. It talks about how many times people watched an episode. I think for you, I had to look this up because numbers get really out of whack. But according to YouTube, they only have to listen or watch something for 30 seconds to say it was watched. Okay? Now, on YouTube, we have 12 subscribers.
That's all?
But,
Come on, people. Come on,
Okay.
people.
okay, what do you think our number 1 episode on YouTube was?
Bride.
No? Who's basically been the hot topic in the last few months?
No. Ken Tamplin.
Ken Tamplin with 620 at the time I last checked. Now,
Are you...
I said, how do we have 12 subscribers and 620 people watch this?
I was
But
just gonna ask
I
you
think
that.
I think what it was, again, that's why I looked up what does it take for it to count as being watched, and only 30 seconds. So if someone only watched 30 seconds of that whole interview, it was counted as being watched by them. Number two, and now this gets down to more realistic numbers. Number two was Stryper's "In God We Trust." That was at 25. Number three was your favorite artist now, Revelation Signal, at 23.
Awesome. Okay, so that was number 3. You said?
Yeah,
Sweet.
and well, that's not bad. Then I looked at the Apple numbers, which I didn't get a whole lot through Apple. Our number one episode from Apple was Ken Templin at 25 downloads. Our number two was the Halloween episode at 24 downloads.
Okay.
Remember, I talked about songs Christian songs that relate to Halloween. We must talk about some. Oh, and news. We had a lot of news to cover too. And just so you know, we might be going long with this episode, but I only plan on putting out one episode this month anyway, so we can go a little bit longer with this one. Number three, and for some reason I missed the numbers on this one, but the number 3 episode was "In God We Trust." Although through Apple we only have 5 subscribers, so overall more people are watching through Spotify and then YouTube, which kind of surprises me, because when I listen to a podcast, it's through Apple, but that's just me. In fact,
Right.
if I can't find it on Apple, I might not even listen to it, type of thing. Although there was some good episodes I found on Spotify that aren't on Apple that I may listen to yet. I'm going to revamp, talking about revamping the episode. We're not going to revamp the episode too much, but like I said, I'm going to come up with a new thumbnail icon. I want to kind of do the theme music for Plug It In. I might even redo the music for our intro. Well, I like the intro, and I like, that we even asked Rex if we could use their sound for the intro. I'm going to shorten it down, but I'm going to see if I can come up with something myself on the guitar type of thing.
I still say you should use the Terminator song.
I don't know about that.
That would be awesome. Well, when I was in school, that's what I wanted to use. But you're right. Yeah, something original.
But so we talked about this already. Because we done the podcast, we've kind of been introduced to a lot of new bands that we wouldn't have been introduced otherwise. Bands
That's
like
right.
Sweet Crystal, Revelation Signal, Daniel Band, which was an early 80s band, but I never heard of them until when I started doing this podcast. And then it was the same as Leviticus. And then I remember,
Leviticus, yeah.
I remember too, when we were talking about the Immortal Fest weekends, you really liked the band Iron Wrath, and that's the band that had the whole visuals to go with their music and all that.
Yes. That would have been good to talk to some of those other bands. Maybe in 2025, up to that whole thing, maybe we could get a bunch of them prior to the event. That would be awesome next year.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then, well, again, through Immortal Fest episodes, I discovered the band Reign of Glory. We've been out for a couple years. Man, those guys are good. Yeah. I remember when I first checked them out, throw them on, and the first song I heard just blew me away. I had to go out and buy the record, and I couldn't buy the record anywhere. That I had to buy as an Apple download, because I couldn't find it anywhere. Then we've also been introduced to the bands Worldview and Human Code. Now, both those bands are really the same band with different vocalists and stuff. The former vocalist from Whitecross is on Human Code, and Ray Pera is the vocalist for Worldview. But the guitars the drums and bass are the same for both lineups. All right, that's that. Gee, we've been talking here quite a while all about what we've been doing. Anyways, yes, so that's our year end. If I get time, there might be a best of clip. The other thing is, too, this is episode 24, and we're going to try and do 2 episodes per month so that we can do 24 episodes within a year, put it that way. So next episode, if it does come out this month, we didn't do birthdays. Let's quickly do December birthdays. Well, in January. But hang on, let's quickly run through some birthdays here. December 8th, we have Marty Friedman, who isn't really a Christian, but he was on the session for Shout. He was on the Interface record, born in 1962. And Jan Ledger from Skillet was born December 8th, 1989. And so we're covering all of December. And, oh, yes, just celebrated a birthday today as of recording. And if you listen to, well, obviously this comes out after recording. December 11th, Ken Champlin's birthday, 1963. December 13th, from Bride, we have Dale Thompson's birthday, 1963. December 17th, I believe he was an original member of Petra. Don't have a year. Jim Cooper.
Ah.
And another original member of Petra, December 26th, 1949, Bob Hartman.
Hey, Bob Hartman, give us a call. Come on.
And
He would be awesome to talk to.
yeah, December 27th, we got 2 of them from the band King's X. Jerry Gaskill, born 1957. And from the band Jerusalem, born 1949, Ulf Christensen. And, oh, here we go. December 20th, from the band Leviticus, Hacken.
They were really cool. I like them.
Actually, I've got a record of theirs, or a CD of theirs, coming in the mail. Well, not in the mail, coming by courier from Gerda Records. Gerda had a big doorbuster sale. I don't buy from them often because of the exchange rate and shipping rates and stuff like this. But I bought, I believe, Resband's second album. No, not the first. Rainbow's End, and the last one from Leviticus. So December 28th, Hacken Anderson from Leviticus. December 29th, we were talking about the band Signum Regis earlier. They've gone through a vocal change. Their first vocalist, Mick Tranan, born 1975. Again, originally with Signum Regis. And we got to mention this since we did an episode about them, or focusing, well, not a full episode. December 30th, Dana Key, born 1953, the duo DeGarmo and Key. And that's quickly rattling off the birthdays. This has been a longer episode, but it's December. We had a lot to cover, a lot to talk about.
Yep.
So God bless everybody, and
I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas out there, and Happy New Year 2025, and all the best, and stay safe out there during the Christmas holidays. Please don't drink or drive if you drink.
definitely Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody, and God bless.
Yeah, you too.
So.